It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does. Welcome to Sports Wrap. This week, we are wall-to-wall on the NBA with a sprinkle of Mike Tyson, Jake Paul talk. First, we are previewing the NBA postseason with our friend Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. We start things in the Eastern Conference. Start with the Celtics. They either get the Bulls or the Heat in this opening round. If it had been the Sixers, boy, it would have made for a hell of a compelling first-round matchup. As it stands, though, the Sixers get the win, and they avoid the Celtics in that 1-8 matchup. Is there any argument to be made for the Bulls or Heat here?
Not that Jimmy Butler's injured. If Jimmy Butler's not injured and we can get playoff Jimmy, I mean, this, by the way, would be the exact path they followed all the way to the finals last year, right? Planned to play the Bulls in the last play-in game, had to come from behind in that game to, advance. Then they beat the Celtics and marched, all the way to the NBA finals. Without Jimmy Butler, I'm not sure they can beat the Bulls, frankly. Like that's suddenly a toss-up game where with Jimmy, I'm pretty sure Miami comes out on top. Either way, I mean, without Jimmy Butler, there's not going to be enough resistance. The Celtics were the better team anyway, but now 4 games, 5 games, I'm just not sure how either of these teams last very long.
Talk about the team that did not get the soft first-round matchup. The Knicks cannot be happy that they played their hearts out to get a 2 seed, which, look, with 5 or 6 days left in the season, it didn't seem like it was all that mathematically possible. A lot was going to have to go right for them, and it did because of the Giannis injury in big part, and the Knicks wind up getting the 2 seed only to still get the 76ers, granted with a hobbled Joel Embiid. But it's got to make you nervous as a Knicks fan. It makes this Knicks fan nervous that you're going to have to go up against a Sixers team that will have Joel Embiid, albeit, a Joel Embiid that's, maybe 65, 70% of what he could be.
Yeah, but he's playing himself back into shape is the problem.
He better get into it fast, Kurt, because I watched him in that game. He could barely get up and down the floor.
Yeah, and then he had 11 points and key assists
in the fourth quarter.
That's the problem. He by the way likes to sell how tired he is. That's not something new for Joel Embiid, but that's the Knicks' problem. They're going to look. Philadelphia has the best player in the series. With all due respect to Jalen Brunson, a healthy Joel Embiid is the best player in this series, and that's a real problem for the Knicks. The thing. So I like Philadelphia, but I think this is at least 6 or 7 games. And I think what's really good for them is whichever team comes out of this, I think it sets up well for them to make the conference finals.
All right, so you're going Celtics, Sixers. I'll go Celtics, Knicks in the opening round. I can't pick against my Knicks in the opening round. Even if I thought they were going to lose, I can't pick against them. All right, Kurt, Cavaliers, Magic, the 4-5. If we want to talk about the first spot for a potential upset, I don't think it necessarily is an upset, given what the Cavaliers have been dealing with. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell, dealing with injuries and this sort of spotty play over the last 6 weeks for the Cavaliers. I don't think anybody would be shocked here if the Magic came through this first round series.
No, although I know a lot of people who look. I think if you're picturing the Cavaliers of earlier this season or even your last season, you'd be like, well, they're going to go through, right? But Donovan Mitchell should be the best player in this series. He is when healthy, but is he healthy? I think that's ultimately the real question there. Because if he's not the shot creator and the best player in this series, and they're leaning more on Darius Garland, who's good, but not on that level. Suddenly, if Paolo Banchero is the best player in this series, it really does become Orlando's series because their defense is going to be good. Both of these teams play very good defense. Both of them match up really well. What can be the separator in this series is Cleveland's guard play, except I'm not sure they're going to be able. Look, it's not going to be easy, first off, because Jalen Suggs is one of the 2 or 3 best defensive guards in the league. Gary Harris holds his own. This is, again, an elite defensive team in Orlando. they can still get those buckets and get that separation. I just don't know if they're healthy enough to do it. I don't know if Donovan's where he needs to be to win this series. I'm with you. I actually picked Orlando. I think this is going to be a Magic series.
The Bucks are in a franchise-defining moment. You go and swap out your head coach, who's doing pretty darn well when you decide to get him, to can him and bring in Doc Rivers. Now you got a Pacers matchup that does not feel favorable to the Bucks, especially when they're going to be missing Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, sort of a franchise-defining moment. I like the Pacers in this series.
So do I, actually. I mean, they won 4 or 5 during the regular season when, guys were largely healthy. They won 4 or 5. Their style, they're pushing the pace. Their kind of offensive mindset really messed with the Bucks' transition defense, which isn't nearly as good without Drew Holiday. With obviously we've discussed before their defensive issues this year. Without Giannis there, the Bucks need not only Damian Lillard to earn that paycheck and be game time. Chris Middleton has got to be the man. If Chris Middleton doesn't step up and play like the guy from a few years ago who was the second best player, who closed games, who was an Olympian, they're in trouble. And I'm not sure they're getting that guy.
I don't either. I don't think they're getting that guy either. I haven't seen that guy since he's come back from injury.
No. And this is a team. Look, Indiana creates problems with Miles Turner, a big who can hit the three. It's hard to drop Brook Lopez deep into the paint. They don't have these kind of guys. It is a real matchup problem for them. And I think Indiana's got a real shot to come out of this, because Giannis isn't just missing the first couple of games. He is likely out for the entire series. If he gets to 6 or 7, maybe, but we'll see.
And I've only got about 30 seconds left in this segment, but there's talk that Damian Lillard might want out after this year. We'll continue the conversation with Kurt. Who do we like in the Western Conference opening round playoff series? Find out next on Sports Wrap.
Over 13 million Americans were affected by identity theft in 2022, and the threats go way beyond just credit card fraud. Today's identity thieves can use your information in ways that are easy to miss by just monitoring accounts and credit, like opening loans, transferring home titles, even committing crimes.
Someone got my social security number, made a driver's license, and it was used for criminal activity.
You can do so much with a social security number that I didn't know could happen. They drained my bank account. It was terrifying.
You're even more vulnerable than you realize. Your information is exposed through online shopping, banking, even corporate data breaches. No wonder there's a new victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. Only LifeLock alerts you to the widest volume of threats all in one place, like someone trying to use your social security number, open a new loan in your name, or even commit a crime in your name.
There was a big yes button and there was a big no button. I clicked, "That's not me," and LifeLock took it from there.
If you become a victim of identity theft, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will be assigned to your case and work to fix the issue on your behalf.
If something happens, you have somebody fighting for you.
All LifeLock members are backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds, personal expenses, and coverage for lawyers and experts up to $1 million. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. With LifeLock, it's easy to help protect yourself.
I will be with LifeLock forever.
Join the millions of people already protected by LifeLock. And for a limited time, save 25% on your first year with promo code 25TV. All plans include a 60-day money-back guarantee.
Call 800-710-7531.
Or visit lifelock.com/25TV to save 25% on your first year of identity theft protection. Enroll now.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
The Sports Wrap NBA preview continues. Joined by Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. We've given you some thoughts on the Eastern Conference. It's time to focus on the West. And we start with the top-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder. Talk a little bit about this 1-8 matchup in the West, which I thought could have been really interesting if the Pelicans had gotten through with a healthy Zion. It's hard for me to imagine either of these two teams. I am done with the Kings. They played their absolute best game against the Warriors the other night. I cannot see them doing that 4 times out of 7 in a series against the Thunder. That team is terrible defensively. They can't make free throws. I'm done with the Kings. I almost hope the Pelicans get through and Zion can somehow get healthy, just because I'd like to see that matchup.
Yeah, I really would have. I think that would have been fascinating. The Thunder were the team everybody wanted to play a little bit. Like, oh, we think we can get them. We can push them around. You can be physical with them. The two teams left, especially without Zion, can't do that. Brandon Ingram, unleash Brandon Ingram. Peak Brandon Ingram would be great, but he's back. This will be his 3rd game, I believe, now, post injury, and he certainly hasn't looked anywhere close to right yet. So I think the Kings absolutely can win this game, but I don't think either of these teams threaten a Thunder team with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander playing well. This is a team that will get some confidence in the first round.
If Zion were healthy, though, if Zion were healthy,
it's a little bit different because nobody has a matchup for him.
Can we make an argument here for the Lakers? I mean, they're obviously 0 for their last 8 when it comes to taking on this Nuggets team that's obviously the world champions. Can you make an argument for the Lakers in this series? Go ahead, because I can't make one.
LeBron has played 1 game now in the last week. He is going to be fresher. Anthony Davis will be fresher. They will have more energy to try and go steal game 1 in Denver. The other thing is, the way they've shifted from a defense to an offense, this is much more of an offensive team, and they're not going to stop Jokic. They're certainly not going to be stopping Denver's offense, but can they score with him? Can they get the red-hot D'Lo game? Can they get the Anthony Reeves game and steal one that way? And suddenly they're in the series. The argument is this team with its offense and rested is better positioned to beat these Nuggets than certainly they were last year or frankly during most of the regular season when they were kind of playing around with the lineups. And all that said, I'll take the Lakers in 5. I mean, the Nuggets in 5. Sorry.
The Lakers in 5. I'm like, whoa, Kurt.
Yeah, I just made Los Angeles really happy. No, Nuggets in 5. Nuggets in 5. I think
now you just broke their hearts. All right, we got 2 more series to get through, and then we will send you on your merry way. Clippers and Mavericks, which I think is going to be the most entertaining of all these opening round series. I expect 7 games. I expect knockdown, drag-out, high-scoring games. Who do you like and why?
I like Dallas. I like Denver too. But I like Dallas. I think that they're going to look. They're hot coming in, and as we've discussed before, Luka, Kyrie, yes, they're going to score. Luka, both of those guys have proven they can do it in the playoffs. But more importantly, since they got Daniel Gafford, put him in the starting lineup with Derek Jones Jr., they're a good defensive team right now. I like the way they're playing. The concern with the Clippers is, can they flip the switch and get back to the team that easily could? Look, if this was pre All-Star, that Clippers team absolutely could win the series. Can they flip the switch, and how healthy is Kawhi Leonard? There's still inflammation in the knee. He has yet to go through 5-on-5 or practice with the team 2 days before. They are hoping he can play. If he is not out there and being playoff Kawhi Leonard, I don't like their chances.
T-Wolves and Suns. T-Wolves getting healthy at the right time.
It's also not a good matchup for them. They struggled against the Suns during the season. And the problem is ultimately this. You are talking about an elite defensive team with Rudy Gobert anchoring the middle and guys kind of pushing out of the arc and challenging. And you're basically like, hey, we're going to force teams to beat us from the mid-range. Well, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal will gladly death by 1,000 cuts you from the mid-range. It's been the problem all year. It is the problem they're going to face in this series. Those guys have, if you take away the mid-range shots, then you're giving them threes or buckets of the basket. It is a tough matchup even for an elite defensive team. I think this is a long series.
You think you sound like you're picking the Suns.
I think I might be picking the Suns in this one.
Enjoy the start of the postseason this weekend, my friend. We will talk to you down the line.
I look forward to it.
Kurt Helin hanging out with us on the show. All right, there was other big news in the NBA this week. The brother of Denver Nuggets star Michael Porter Jr., Jontay Porter, has been banned for life by the league for gambling on NBA games. And according to the league, on his own games with the Toronto Raptors. Robert Littal of Black Sports Online joins us on the other side to talk about that and some recent training videos of Mike Tyson as he prepares to take on Jake Paul this June. Talking about it all next. Thanks for being with us. There was big news in the NBA this week that had nothing to do with the postseason. It was Toronto Raptors big man Jontay Porter being banned for life by the NBA for placing bets on league games, including games of his own, in which he appears to have influenced and aided bettors in placing wagers by limiting his participation in games. Robert Littal is the founder of Black Sports Online. We talked with him about that and the recent workout videos for Mike Tyson as he prepares to take on Jake Paul in a boxing match this June. The NBA is not giving any leash to Jontay Porter. They have sent him packing a lifetime ban for betting on the NBA, even betting on his own team and against his own team. What stuck out? What sticks out? What sticks out to you? About the way this has been handled.
That gambling is more important than domestic violence. That's the one thing that kind of sticks out. Also, I think this happens a lot more often than just Jontay Porter. I mean, I think he was being very bold to think that nobody would notice. People putting $80,000 bets on somebody that only, scores 2-3 points a game. But this is what happens once you embrace gambling. And all of these leagues have embraced these parlays and the FanDuels and the DraftKings. Human nature is that every NFL player is not making Patrick Mahomes money. Every NBA player is not making, Steph Curry money. So if they can see a way to manipulate this to put a little cash in their pocket, I think they do it a little better than probably what Porter did, but I think this is way more widespread than just one player. But I do think that's why they banned them for the entire, ever, is to try to scare other players to not continue to do it.
I think it's the tip of the iceberg. I really do. And the NBA's even said the investigation on this is still ongoing. This isn't like the end. Jontay Porter being, suspended, that's not the end of this. It's just a part of this. And with proxy betting and the ability to have other people place bets for you and things like that. And here's the other aspect of this. It's one thing to legalize sports betting, wins, losses, point spreads, totals. It's another thing when you start getting into player props. Because when you have these particular player props, it's easy for a guy to manipulate a player prop. I mean, these guys look up at the scoreboard. They see what they have. How many rebounds, how many assists, how many points, all of that stuff. To me, it's just, it is cultivating a situation where you're just going to keep seeing this. Because like you said, and I think this is accurate to point out, not everybody's making that big coin that a Kevin Durant or a Steph Curry or all these guys are making. The majority of guys aren't making that kind of money. So I think it's going to continue to be a problem for the league. All right, move away from that. And I got to move to Mike Tyson. Because I've been watching training videos.
Let's just point that out right now.
I am terrified of Mike Tyson. I'm watching these training videos of him, and they're not sped up in real time. We're sitting here watching a video of him right now on the screen. That dude still looks terrifying. As I sit there and watch him train, they showed a video of him running. I think he's gonna smack around Jake Paul in June. What do you think?
See, I totally disagree. And I don't disagree with Mike Tyson is scary because I'm around Mike Tyson because he comes to the fights pretty frequently, the bigger fights in Vegas and things of that nature. He still has an aura and a persona that you know how you come up to most people and you feel comfortable. Everybody gives Mike Tyson a little space. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's about 3 feet back. Even in a crowded room, Mike has a little bubble around him where people, when they come in to approach him, it's a cautious approach. But this is boxing, and there are rules, and the man is 60 years old. So
57. I feel like, come on, don't make him 60 yet.
In a boxing match at 60 years old against a kid that's 25 and has some sort of training, I think unless he gets hit with just a punch he doesn't, see, he can toy with Mike Tyson. I don't think he's going to go in there and start blasting punches with Mike Tyson and see what happens. I don't think he's that stupid. But if he goes in there and just jabs and throws his right hand, I mean, I think Jake Paul is gonna win this fight. But we have to see what the rules are. We don't exactly know. Is it an exhibition? Are they going to have judges? What are the gloves are going to be? So it's still a lot of information we don't know right now. But this is a 60-year-old man that's going to have to be going around the ring 3 minutes. 12 rounds. I just don't see it happening.
If they unleash him, if this is an actual boxing match, I'm afraid of what he's going to do to Jake Paul, because I don't think Jake Paul's ever been in the ring with somebody who's going to punch this hard. And the best chance I give for Jake Paul is if he dances around for however many rounds this thing winds up being. Always appreciate it. Robert Littal, Black Sports Online. Go and check him out there. Good to talk to you, my friend. Be well. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on as always. Thank you so much. I really do.
We wrap things up with some odds and ends next.
Over 13 million Americans were affected by identity theft in 2022. And the threats go way beyond just credit card fraud. Today's identity thieves can open loans, transfer home titles, and even commit crimes in your name.
Someone got my social security number, made a driver's license, and was used for criminal activity.
Your information is exposed through online shopping, banking, even corporate data breaches. No wonder there's a new victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. Only LifeLock alerts you to the widest volume of threats all in one place.
I clicked, "That's not me," and LifeLock took it from there.
If you become a victim, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix the issue. All LifeLock members are backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds.
I will be with LifeLock forever.
Enrollment takes just minutes. Call now or go online and use promo code GET25 to save 25% on your first year. Enroll now.
All right, odds and ends, let's finish it on a positive note. What were you doing at the age of 15? I guarantee you were not trying to qualify for a PGA Tour sanctioned event. I guarantee you weren't shooting 68 in that PGA Tour sanctioned event. When I was a freshman in high school, I was just glad I could walk. Long story. Miles Russell is 15 years old. He is a golfing phenom. He already has an NIL deal. At 15, Miles Russell shot a 68 yesterday on the Korn Ferry Tour, which is the tour just underneath the PGA Tour. He's even tried Monday qualifiers to make it into PGA Tour events. Don't be surprised if between now and the end of the PGA Tour season, if you hear the name Miles Russell, if you don't see him on your TV, Miles Russell playing on the PGA Tour. Because if he plays this well in a Korn Ferry event, would it shock anybody if one of these, lesser PGA Tour events that doesn't have a ton of cachet, maybe that doesn't get a ton of the big players, would it surprise anybody if they said, you know what, maybe we're going to extend a sponsor's exemption to a guy like 15-year-old, a kid like 15-year-old Miles Russell? You imagine? 15 years old. Shot a 68. It's what I have most days through 12 or 13 holes. Congratulations. Hopefully he does well over the weekend over on the Korn Ferry Tour. We'll obviously keep an eye on it. And that is going to wrap it up for us this week. Thank you to our guests, Robert Littal of Black Sports Online, and of course, Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Make sure if you haven't done so yet to subscribe to the vodcast version of the show, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Check it out today. I am Jason Page. Thanks for being with us. We'll catch you back here next week for another edition of Sports Wrap. See ya.